Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff in complete darkness, unaware of the drop beneath your feet. Now imagine a voice calling out to you, steady and clear, urging you to stop before you fall. That voice, for millions of Muslims across centuries, has been the voice of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, the Sultan of the Saints, whose warnings still echo through the hearts of believers today. Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani was born in 1078 CE in the region of Gilan, Persia. He traveled to Baghdad, where he became one of the greatest scholars and spiritual masters the Muslim world has ever known. His words were not merely scholarly opinions. They were cries from a heart that burned with love for Allah and genuine fear for the condition of the Muslim Ummah. He warned his followers not out of harshness, but out of mercy. The first and perhaps most urgent warning Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani gave to every Muslim was about the disease of the heart, known as love of the world, or hub ad-dunya. He would say repeatedly in his gatherings that the love of this world is the root of every spiritual disaster. When a person's heart becomes attached to wealth, status, comfort, and possessions, that heart becomes blind to Allah. The Shaykh taught that the world is like a shadow. If you chase it, you will never catch it. But if you turn your back to it and walk toward Allah, it will follow you without effort. He warned his students that most people claim to love Allah with their tongues, but their actions tell a different story. When they face a choice between a worldly gain and a command of Allah, they choose the world. When they must sacrifice comfort for prayer, they choose comfort. This is a sign, said the Shaykh, that the world has taken the throne of the heart that belongs to Allah alone. He taught that the dunya was created to be used, not loved, and that confusing these two leads a person into spiritual ruin without them even realizing it. Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani was deeply concerned about the state of the tongue. His second warning was about sins of speech, which he called among the most dangerous because they are the most easily committed and the most often ignored. He taught that the tongue is a small organ, but its consequences are enormous. A man can destroy his family, his community, his reputation, and his standing before Allah with nothing more than the words he speaks carelessly in ordinary conversation throughout his daily life. He warned specifically about backbiting, which he described as eating the flesh of your dead brother, using the Quranic language to make his students truly feel the weight of the sin. He also warned against lying, false promises, mockery, and the habit of speaking too much without reflection. The Shaykh often said that silence is gold, and that a wise man guards his tongue the way a miser guards his treasure. He taught that before every word, a Muslim should ask whether what they are about to say is true, necessary, and kind. The third warning that Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani gave with great force and frequency was about the company a Muslim keeps. He said that a person's character is shaped by those they sit with, eat with, and spend time with. Bad company, he warned, is like a slow poison. It works gradually, changing your values and your habits without you noticing until you look back and realize you are a completely different person from who you once were, and not in a good direction at all. He taught that the believer must be extremely selective about friendship. He advised his students not to sit with those who are heedless of Allah, those who speak of the world constantly and never mention Allah, and those whose company leaves your heart heavier rather than lighter. He said the sign of good company is that after sitting with a person, you feel closer to Allah, more motivated to worship, and more disgusted by your own sins. And the sign of bad company is the opposite. This is a warning many Muslims today urgently need to hear and act upon. The fourth great warning of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani was about religious arrogance and spiritual pride, which he considered among the most destructive of all internal diseases. He warned that a person could perform prayers, fasting, charity, and even Hajj, and yet be destroyed from within by pride and arrogance if they were not constantly watchful. He said that Iblis, the devil, was not destroyed by his sin of disobedience, but by his sin of pride. And when pride enters a heart that worships, it turns all that worship into ash. He taught that the more a person worships, the more dangerous pride becomes, because worship itself can become a source of self-admiration. A man who prays much begins to look down on those who pray less. A scholar begins to feel superior to those who know less. A generous man begins to expect gratitude and recognition. The Shaykh warned that this is the trap of Shaitan for the people of worship, because it is harder to detect than the traps he lays for the openly sinful. He said that true spiritual progress is marked not by feeling great, but by feeling small before Allah and merciful toward people. The fifth warning that runs like a thread through all the teachings of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani is about heedlessness, known in Arabic as rafla. He warned every Muslim about the danger of living life in a state of forgetfulness of Allah, going through the motions of daily existence without any real awareness of the divine presence. He taught that ghafla is the mother of all sins, because when a person forgets Allah, every other evil becomes easy. The heart that remembers Allah is protected. The heart that forgets Allah is exposed and vulnerable to every attack of the enemy. He would say to his students that death is closer to you than your own jugular vein, and yet you plan as if you will live forever. He warned that people invest enormous energy building their lives in this world, while paying almost no attention to what they are building for the next world. The Shaykh taught that the cure for ghafla is dhikr, the constant remembrance of Allah, not just with the tongue, but with the heart, the mind, the intention, and the actions. He said a man who remembers Allah while doing business, while eating, while walking, and while speaking, has turned his entire life into worship. What makes these warnings of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani so timeless is that they are not opinions, they are diagnoses. He was a physician of the heart who could see the diseases that most people cannot see in themselves. He was not speaking to people of another era. He was speaking to us today in this age of social media, distraction, materialism, and spiritual numbness. The love of the world he warned about is more intense today than ever before. The sins of the tongue have multiplied into every form of digital communication. Bad company now enters our homes through screens. Spiritual pride is performed publicly for likes and followers. And heedlessness has reached epidemic levels in a world designed to keep people distracted every waking moment of their lives. The legacy of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani is not merely academic, it is a living call to every Muslim who sincerely wishes to return to Allah. His warnings are not meant to shame us but to awaken us. He said that the door of Allah is never closed to any servant who knocks upon it with a sincere heart. He believed deeply in the mercy of Allah and the capacity of every human being to transform. But transformation requires first that we hear the warning, then that we accept it, and then that we act upon it with courage and sincerity before it is too late. Let us take these 5 warnings and hold them before us like a mirror. Let us ask honestly whether we love the world more than we love Allah. Let us examine what our tongues have been doing when no one is watching. Let us look honestly at who we are spending our time with and what effect they are having on our souls. Let us check our hearts for pride hidden beneath the surface of our religious practice. And above all, let us ask ourselves whether we are truly remembering Allah or merely going through the motions of a Muslim life while our hearts sleep. The warnings of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani are a gift. The question is whether we are ready to receive them.